question?
Yes, I think probably most of us feel very vulnerable where our children are concerned. And so the handling of our children and the safety of our children probably make up the preponderance of our concerns. So, check-in of children. Now that's an issue we've been working with for a long time, as probably most of the pastors here have. Guys, what kind of a check-in system are you using, and have you had any problems with it?
Well, we started about 10 years ago with an electronic check-in system, and the first problem we discovered was too many kids at once. So we had to cut it back to just doing birth through kindergarten, and we've rolled it back up now from birth all the way through 5th grade. And it's been very helpful for us because it prevents problems when there's a custody case and maybe the dad is not supposed to bring the kids home. And we've had a couple of situations where we've had to have a conversation. We've never had to involve law enforcement. We've had to have a conversation with somebody and say, we can't let you pick them up right now. You're going to have to wait for the mom to show up or some other family member who is allowed to do that. And that's been helpful for us. And new people coming in, most of the time appreciate it. Every once in a while they question and say, why do we have to print this sticker off and then come back later? And ours allows for either a finger or thumbprint, or there's a fob that you can use, and it's very convenient as a parent who goes in, and I have kids that are in that age range, so it's just stick your finger on, print it off, and go pick them up.
Sounds good. Carter, what are you using?
Ours is pretty similar to Tom's. We don't use the biometric scanners or a fob, but we just enter a phone number when you come in, and it recognizes your family. Parent clicks on the screen who is attending, and there's a series of labels that are printed. The kids get a label that has their name, any allergies that they have, and a security code is printed on there. It's a unique code for each family every week. The parents get a copy of that has only the code and the date. So when the parents come and pick up their child, they've got to identify their child by name and then present that code. We have to see the paper. They don't have to get the paper. You might have multiple kids you have to pick up. We have to know that that matches what's on the child's sticker, and that kind of helps us verify that the same person who brought the child is the person who is picking up the child. If you don't have that sticker, we've kind of got a little policy that we go through where we track down who actually did the checking in that day. So we can verify that you actually either lost it or that the right thing's going on. We have usually some security personnel are involved with that, because that's what you see, I think, most commonly in those custody situations is you'll have somebody that is in a split custody situation. Sometimes you'll see the parent without custody will just come and say, well, I'm here to pick them up. Well, they don't have the sticker, and the first thing they'll say is, well, I lost it. So you kind of have to have a plan for what you're going to do in that moment. As well. I think sometimes it's easy to think, well, we've got this electronic system, but it's really the policies that you follow that back it up, I think, that are just as important, and that's something we've kind of learned through a few of those situations, and we've had to make some adjustments along the way. But by and large, our electronic system has worked really well. The parents like it, the teachers like it, and it helps us kind of be able to identify those security issues when they come up.
And Carter, this is kind of off the topic a little bit, but in terms of electronics, at our church, we attend the same church. A few weeks ago, I'm a greeter outside of one door into the sanctuary, and I noticed like a carry-on suitcase propped up against the wall right by the door. And I thought that was odd. Well, we have a security staff, and those guys were able to we have a video camera out in the hallway, and this is one of the point I'm making is the power of video technology. It's a great preventive. And we were able to roll the tape. You might want to mention that.
Yeah, we were able to use our security cameras to look back at who had dropped that suitcase off, and then actually also using our church management database, which is the same database that provides the check-in services, look up some contact information for the person who dropped it off or people that we thought knew that person, so we could kind of sort out what was the purpose of that suitcase being there. By using that database system in tandem with the security system, we kind of figured out what classroom the person who dropped the bag off might be in and how to contact them in the most efficient way to figure out that it was actually it was not a threat. It was just a bag that they had brought to church that day.
But it added a sense of excitement to me being with that bag sitting there.
It was certainly.
I didn't hear anything ticking.
it was a sense of excitement is a good way to explain that, Mitch.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about cameras. What
Yes.
about, do you all have cameras in classrooms?
We do, and that's been one of our big discussions lately is what constitutes due diligence in terms of your archiving of that kind of footage should a claim be made or something like that. What would be the recommended time frame?
Well,
It's
it depends
quite
on,
expensive,
it depends on, I think, the context. For example, our camera in the main lobby of the church, if nothing's happened, if no claims or charge, I mean, I don't see why that would have to be kept for any protracted period of time. I don't know what the number would be, maybe a year. It's done electronically, so that's digitally. It's not like in the old days where you had VHS tapes you had to store, you had to build a warehouse to put them. And with regard to youth, let's say in the nursery, which I think that's a powerful place. I don't recommend that you need videos in every classroom. Like I teach a 5th grade Sunday school class and I don't have a video in there. But for the children who can't explain suspicious marks on their body when their parents pick them up, I think it's a powerful preventive technique. And how long do you keep those? Well, you don't have to keep them long. You can just have a staff member assigned maybe every Monday to review the tape, the video, and on fast forward, and you can see if there's any problem. And they could fill out an affidavit at the end of watching that. It might take them 10 minutes, and then you can erase it.
One of the things that you might want to mention is actually having a policy. So whatever your policy is when it comes to maintaining that tape, that you follow that policy. So actually, if something does come out and they said, we want your tape, as long as you're following that policy that you set forth, it looks reasonable and it looks like you're using due diligence and care with anybody that would question it.
And of course, again, I go back to my earlier point, contact the public schools and their administrative offices, and do they utilize video cameras? And to the extent they do in certain settings, how long do they retain those videos? And again, aligning yourself to the public schools, that's a state instrumentality. I mean, how can you be viewed as negligent under those circumstances? And if they don't have a policy, do your benchmarking. Contact other churches, other charities that are youth serving, not necessarily limited to churches, and find out what they're doing. That's the standard by which you're going to be judged.